Well, good morning to everybody out there. Wait a minute. Now, why are the Patriots here? Why are those planes actually they use us over here at KCI for some of their plane storage? But nonetheless, this is actually a perfect situation to be here over at KCI because, you know, we're coming into a really exciting weekend. It's Labor Day weekend that's coming up. We got 3 days of fun in the sun. And truly, it's going to be fun in the sun for us. There's going to be a lot of sunshine out there. Notice, though, there's some haze in the background, though, of KCI. It's actually a little bit of smoke. We're still tracking that in, all from Canada. It's all wildfires out of Canada. There's a couple of brush fires and some grass fires still out there around Nebraska and the Dakotas. That seems to be wafting in a little bit too. But overall, just watch out for some, moderate air quality, possibly dropping down to unhealthy for sensitive groups. Anybody who's got maybe asthma or some type of respiratory issue, just heads up. Might want to limit your outdoor activities as we make it into the next few days here. Hey, good morning to you. Hopefully you're having a lovely Friday Eve or Thursday morning. 10:26 right now, and we've got ourselves a pretty interesting outlook. One that may lack a tad in wet weather, which is kind of sort of what you want for a 3-day weekend here across the Missouri River Valley. So I want to get into it. We're going to talk about, first things first, the humidity forecast, because you're going to look at this and go, oh, wait a minute, Greg. You just said that there's not a whole lot of wet weather chances. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, there it is. All right, so we've got this dry kind of pattern that pops on in for us. And we see this dry pattern that goes all the way through to about Saturday. And then we get up to about Sunday early morning and then to the mid-morning and then the afternoon, and it starts to spike, and then we drop a little bit into the overnight, right back up as we move on into our Labor Day Monday. Yes, we're breaking down some of that heat dome and bringing in some moisture content from the south. This does allow us to see a little bit more of a heat index as we go into, the extended weekend. But the rain chances, at least at this time, they're prominent there, but they are low chances at this time and very, very sparse, very spotty. So we're going to get involved with this in just a quick second. But obviously, we want to first get involved with what we all know is coming in, and it's going to be that little bit of a heat wave that pops on into our forecast. It's that kind of upper level ridge of high pressure, and that is coming out of the Four Corners or the desert southwest. So it's continuing to move. Its motion is going to be to the north and to the east, pardon me, from the central to the central plains into the Missouri River Valley, and then trying to move to the upper Midwest, maybe Great Lakes area overall. But we've got another support system. You see that kind of spin around Dallas there? That's technically an area of low pressure, but it's helping to keep and lift that warm air up into our neck of the woods and kind of hold it there even past the holiday weekend. So these 90s that I have here returning kind of sort of linger on into the short business or school week that we have after Labor Day Monday, right? So we'll talk about that, but the peak of our heat, the peak of it, is more likely going to be involved with Labor Day itself. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. What is our Labor Day forecast? The day itself is going to rise into middle 90s. I'm going to call for about 95 degrees as our actual air temperature here. But with the moisture content that we discussed, right, kind of spiking up into the humid condition, we're going to get into feel likes about 5 to 7 degrees above the norm. So I'm going to call for about 100 to maybe 102 or 103 as a feel like. Now listen, that's so much better than what we had to deal with literally a week ago when we were having feel-like temperatures around KCI coming in at 120 degrees. Lawrence came in at like $134. So it's much better, but it is still hot. And we still have to, plan accordingly for that, right? We're also still looking at the opportunity for a decent amount of UV rays, which will allow for us to, slap on the sunscreen if you're going to be outdoors for more than about 40 to 50 minutes at a time. But you can see that I put in a rain chance there at about 20%. It's low. It really is low. And honestly, the better chances for wet weather lie within our early morning Wednesday of next week. And even so, I mean, we're talking about between about 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. right now in our forecast models, which, don't worry, we will be getting involved with literally in the next 2 seconds here because I am going to bring in that regional forecast for you. And I'm going to pop that in right now. It's going to take a moment to actually ingest all that data, but there it is. It's popping up for us. So I'm going to show you one of our model runs here. This is the Euro Track model run, the European model run that we use. It's pretty good at showing signs of inclement weather. It's a little bit more detailed than the American model run, which is the GFS model that we sometimes use as well. But this does a pretty good job at showing us some of the detail work of it. So we're going to take you through Sunday, right? So we're already basically halfway through our Labor Day weekend. Sunday looking clean and clear so far up to lunchtime. Let's continue to push forward here. We should pick up a southerly flow, and that brings in the moisture content. Moving into our Monday early afternoon, you can see how we're trying to bring in some of those showers closer to our southern counties, not necessarily even into the metro. This is 2 p.m. and the lighter greens that you're seeing here, this is more likely showers or maybe a very weak thunderstorm. I am not looking at a severe weather threat at this time, nor are the severe weather prediction models this far out. They just don't see it happening right now. So those are good signs for us to enjoy our extended kind of weekend. But let's keep on moving. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then as we move on into, to 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock, it tends to taper off and starts to breathe back down to the south for us here. Now, this is actually showing up in several of our models, including the GFS, the American model run. Let me go ahead and bring into more of a significant weather threat that we have for shower activity. And this is going to be up near Tuesday during the evening and into the early morning Wednesday. You can see how we kind of build the wet weather around the actual viewing area, portions of Kansas, portions of Missouri. But do you still see those little lines there, that we're talking about? Here, let me actually kind of paint up a picture for you. And I don't know if they're going to allow me. I think I could throw this in there. We'll see if this allows me to do it. I'm just going to show you kind of arrows, right? Painting a line of these kind of what we call wind barbs. There you go. I put it in kind of these blue arrows just to show you what I'm talking about. So you can see how they kind of run together in this particular area. They're coming in from the north, but also coming in from the south. This, my friends, this meetup area with those blue arrows, that's a front. We're dealing with a front right there involved with the region. So that is why we're picking up those chances for wet weather. So I'm going to get rid of that and continue the motion of our forecast model. And there you go. By about 9 or 10 o'clock at night, we tend to get better chances for wet weather. The darker the color, the better opportunity for heavier showers, possibly thunderstorm activity. And it winds up moving into our early Wednesday morning. Then starts to depreciate as we move forward to the mid and late morning time frame as we try to bring in some high pressure from the north. And you can actually see that with some of those wind barbs up in Nebraska. You can see how we have this rotation that happens. It's kind of like a clockwise rotation, and that's what high pressure does. It rotates clockwise within the northern hemisphere, which is where we're in. And it should help in kind of sort of giving us some slightly cooler conditions. But, we're coming off of mid-90s. It'll drop, but we're not talking 10 degrees. We're talking more like 5 or 6 degrees off of that kind of heat. So we are still going to be above average even moving into next week, even with this wet weather kind of opportunity in the outlook. So that's what's going on with our wet weather trend here. I want to show you the now. Kind of sort of what we're dealing with in the mid-levels of our atmosphere. We're going to talk about water vapor here for just a quick second, just to show you that we've got a lot of support for stability. And do you see that coloration just to the south of town here? This kind of gray that turns into a brownish or an orangish color. That is copious amounts of dry air, right? There's a little bit of lighter grays and whites to the north of us. That's some moisture that may be just enough for a couple of clouds to populate maybe our northern side of Missouri to the Iowa border. That's really going to be about it. So what we've got is a drier, stabilized environment today, which is going to allow us to keep to a mild temperature and, of course, keep the humidity low today. So low that your feel-like temperature should be the actual air temperature. So let's talk about some current conditions here. I know you're seeing it right there at KCI, 73 degrees, but elsewhere across the region. And see, even so, it looks like we're getting a new update here from KCI in this forecast model, 71. But we're basically hovering around those lower 70s. And as we go through into the afternoon today, Let's talk about that because it is going to be a nice day to be out and about. We're talking about temperatures that move up into the 80s. I know I'm blocking 4 p.m. right now, but it's 82 degrees, and that should be the high temperature for today. By tomorrow, 88 should be our high temperature, and then as we move on into Saturday, we'll be into those lower 90s with the peak of our heat, like we just talked about on Labor Day, being about 95 degrees. All the way around, this should be a really good lake weekend time frame for us. Whether you're going up north, whether you're going down to the Lake of the Ozarks, we're looking pretty good all the way around to head out to the lakes, especially here closer to around the metro. You know, we've got Renaissance festivals going on. We've got all of these cool local events that are happening here in town. It should be a great weekend for all of those for people to visit. Just make sure that you're taking those proper precautions as we push into the 90s with feel-like temperatures in those lower triple digits. It's underneath excessive heat criteria, which is great, but we still want to plan and prep for some warmth out there to make sure that you're comfortable while you're enjoying your weekend. And that's really about it, friends. I mean, we're doing great in the forecast all the way around. So I'm going to bring you back to the airport because it is a very important weekend for travel coming up here. Whether you're hitting the roads, whether you're hitting the airways here, there's a lot happening. And you know who's got more on that? Not me. That's Janae. Janae, to you.
I do. Thank you so much, Greg. And I think, you know, touching on that weather, I think this weekend's going to be the perfect weekend to head to the pools. So I'm starting to plan that here in my head, heading to the pools with a nice drink and some food. Now, like Greg mentioned, we do have a long week ahead of us, a long weekend, as well as a long day starting today. We are officially kicking off a busy Labor Day weekend full of traveling. And right now we're taking a live look at the KCI airport. They are preparing for a lot of travelers going into the weekend. I do want to take a look at this video here at the live desk. KCI expects just shy of 200,000 people to shuffle through the airport this weekend. We are talking in and outbound. Officials at KCI tell us it's expected to be a 17% uptick from last year, 2022, but the busiest travel day is expected to be tomorrow at KCI. Now, nationally, the Federal Aviation Administration expects to have at least 5,200 flights in the air. A lot of road trips are going to be happening this year as well. We actually spoke to Nick Shabaria with AAA here in Missouri yesterday, and he touched on exactly what people need to know, not only if they're going to be taking to the skies, but also if they plan to take to the roads. And he said that a lot of people are planning to go that route this Labor Day weekend. He said that roads will be busy between 2 to 6 p.m. starting today, going until next Wednesday. So definitely you want to keep that in mind if you are going to be one of the people planning a road trip this week. I do want to turn the camera around so you all can see me. I am Janae Hancock here at the live desk, tracking the latest developments so far this morning of what we know. And speaking of road trips, I do want to take a look at gas prices. That is going to be the main concern for a lot of people that are going to be getting on the roads ahead of the Labor Day weekend. So let's take a look at that coming in from AAA. You can see today's national average for gas prices is sitting right at around $3.82. In Missouri, we are sitting at $3.48. And Nick yesterday with AAA, he actually touched on the fact that in Missouri, we are currently the state with we're sitting at number 6 in the nation as far as the lowest gas prices going into the holiday weekend. And if we take a look at Kansas, you can see they're sitting at $3.56. Nick also encourages drivers who are going to have to travel a long distance to get to their destinations this weekend to fill your gas tank up before you head out on the road. So you definitely want to make sure you do that here locally, whether it is in the state of Kansas or the state of Missouri. He also encourages drivers to give themselves plenty of time before making their way on the roads. And that also goes for people that are going to be traveling in the skies this weekend. So definitely you want to make sure you get to the airport in enough time as well. Now, like I mentioned, we do have a lot going on today beyond Labor Day holiday travel. We do have a lot going on here locally. And so with that being said, I do want to take a look at this video you see here now on your screen. The man accused of shooting a 17-year-old boy who went to the wrong home is getting one step closer to learning his fate today. 84-year-old Andrew Lester, he is appearing in court right now as we speak for his preliminary hearing. This is the first in a series in the Ralph Yarl shooting, and we actually just learned that Yarl is expected to take the stand today. I do want to give you a breakdown of exactly what happened, how we got to this point. On April 13th, then 16-year-old Ralph Yarl rang on Lester's door, thinking it was the home where he was supposed to be picking up his siblings. Lester shot him twice, both in the head and in his right arm. Now, Lester was taken into custody later that afternoon and pled not guilty. I do want to let you all know of the charges that Lester is facing. The first charge, first-degree assault, which can be punishable anywhere between 5 and 30 years in prison in the state of Missouri. The second charge, armed criminal action, would be anywhere between 3 and 10 years in prison. That right there is the mugshot of Andrew Lester. Now, if he is convicted on these charges, Lester could serve decades in prison. He is scheduled to report at the courthouse in Liberty. He got there at around 10 o'clock this morning, and we do have a crew inside of that courtroom. We'll provide you with the latest updates as they come in, but be sure to tune in to our newscast later on this evening, but especially at 12. I know we are just 2 hours away from that, and we hope to have more updates for you all of what you can expect. Alrighty, so also happening today, like I mentioned, it is a busy day here in our area, here locally. Kansas City leaders and trans icons will speak against a new trans health care ban. It is after this Monday, 2 new laws restricting Missourians' access to gender-affirming health care went into effect. So this morning, we do know that Mayor Quinton Lucas and more, they were giving their formal response to the new laws, and they call the laws bigoted. Kansas City has taken steps to secure transgender Missourians in recent months, making the city a safe haven to gender-affirming healthcare, and in June, holding a trans town hall. And of course, just like that story that I just touched on with Andrew Lester, we will provide more updates on this story during our evening newscast, as well as online. So make sure you have ways of getting those instant notifications, and be sure to tune in to our newscast later on this evening. I do want to take a look at this video. This has been some exciting news here in the metro. We do know that we are going to have an incredible view of the KC skyline that is currently on the way. You should be able to see that now here on your screen. You're dealing with some technical difficulties, but construction continues on the KC Will. That will take riders 150 feet into the air, and it's all part of the Penway Point project near I-35 in downtown KC. I do want to turn things over to KCTV5's Gianni Navarro. She has more on what we can expect.
You'll see the central axle go in, and then you'll start to see the spokes in the ring beam begin to form the wheel a little bit more every day.
Construction on Kansas City's very own Ferris wheel is in the works. Once it's done, it will stand an impressive 150 feet tall with 36 enclosed climate-controlled gondolas for guests to ride, rain or shine, 365 days of the year.
The wheel brings a bright light to the skyline.
Nestled between Pershing Road and Penway Point, the KC wheel will have remarkable and panoramic views of the downtown skyline, landmarks, and bustling streets. Karen Wilder oversees the day-to-day operations. She says the entire park will be a place where lasting memories are made.
We can do engagements on the wheel. We can do weddings on the wheel. And then we also do gender reveals, which are very popular. So the wheel park will be available for company buyouts or family reunions, anything that you can think of. We can work together to make it work.
The developers, Icon Experience, have also built Ferris wheels in St. Louis and Washington, D.C. They think it will be a success here in the City of Fountains.
It is exciting, it is fun, and Kansas City will embrace the wheel as a new icon for Kansas City.
Definitely something to look forward to, and we will provide you those developments as they come in. But right now, I do want to end off with a feel-good story as we head into the Labor Day weekend. This is a very touching, but also a very sweet story, and I do want to take a listen in to what exactly happened.
Wow. We have a visitor. We've been talking about our Tiger Pride pledge. Look at that. special surprise.
Hi, Papa.
Eli's dad has been gone for a little while and he's finally returned. So we're so excited.
So sweet. So as you just saw there, a soldier disguised as an elementary school's mascot surprised his son on his first day of second grade. He had been deployed overseas for a year. So sweet, and such a good video, such a good story to look at as we go into the Labor Day weekend, spending time with family and friends. Just a sweet gesture there. Right now, as we prepare to head into the holiday weekend, I once again want to give you all a live look, looking at the airport right now, which is going to be very busy, not only here locally, but across the nation. I know a lot of people have probably already started their holiday weekend, whether they're hitting the roads or taking to the skies. Here at KCTV5, we want to make sure that you all are safe and prepared. So be sure to tune in to our newscast later on today and have ways of getting those instant notifications, staying tuned in with our website, kctv5.com, as well as the KCTV5 app. I hope you all have an amazing Thursday.